Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And today, as you can see in the background, we are going ahead with yet another book. And I hope there is no such bad background sound as I hear it. I'll maybe manage to, this will be fine. This is fine, I guess. And as you can see in the background, we are going to discuss another book. And today I've decided, because it's actually the second episode and the second stream and the second YouTube video, which I'm producing, that I will yet talk about another finances book, because, I was just, reading privately a lot about body language, which is actually something I really have to talk about as well on this channel, a little bit more in depth, because I really found a great book summary, which is called the Distinct Book of Body Language, if I remember correctly. And it is just a really great website. The whole body is just, broken down into several categories, and then you can really see, what certain postures of your body may indicate or actually indicate, and all these things, from actually really head to toe, some kind of. But therefore, I've really decided to go ahead with another business book. And today I've chosen Dave Ramsey, The Total Money Makeover. Why I've chosen this one is because, I've seen I actually have to show you. I was going through their top books, and then I was just really, I really seen this, and then I went over this quote. So the quote is, "We buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like." Which is actually, quite the truth, and a lot of people do this. But the thing is, why I've then taken this book is because Gary Vee actually said the same quote. He just said it, and then I was like, yeah, the chances are pretty good that this is one of the only books that Gary Vee actually read, because as you might know him, he isn't really but reading anything. He really hates reading, and therefore I, kind of find it stupid that a lot of people just, talk about readings in such a manner that it is something so good and you will get so fucking successful through it. Which isn't true actually. Totally not true. But this was actually the reason why I've taken it, and all these other are either, things I actually know and actually I've, been speaking about. Maybe I will actually do the 4-hour work week as well again. I've initially have read another summary back in 2018, it might even have been 2017, I do not know. Actually, I have read a summary about it. It wasn't quite a book I really liked, even though a lot of people talk about it, and a lot of people really talk about it in a pretty good way, which then I, couldn't really understand, actually, some sort of. But yeah, we are going to talk about, and I do have to manage everything, especially with the microphone. Maybe I'm showing you my setup right now. I've just, oops. Am I fucking it up right now? Maybe, yeah. Maybe. It's gotten a little bit loose. Yeah, no, it works. It works quite fine. And in the last episode, the audio was too fucking loud anyway, so it doesn't matter. But we have to go on with this book. And then I just seen The Millionaire Next Door, and I thought, I make this one because it's the sixth place and not the 7th one. But I kind of got through it, and this is all, this was only something you actually hear over and over and over again by other people. And then I decided, what, not going to do this one because, you actually know a lot of it, so it wouldn't be that interesting for you and for me. And therefore, we are going to start with Dave Ramsey, The Total Money Makeover. There's actually another book I think that's, pretty much titled the same, which is quite funny, and, there you have to see really who was the one who, copied the other one. But yeah, The Total Money Makeover by, he forgot something. So The Total Money Makeover is a book on personal finance which covers all the basics of sound household money management. The bullet summary is pay all your debts and don't embark in new ones, which is, quite an easy tip, but it's actually the truth. If you do not have any debts, everything is great at my point of view, and you can really start saving. I think you should actually start saving, from your really early days. You should be, saving money your whole life long. Save up and invest. And the third one is earmark all your expenses. And I didn't really know what earmark means, and therefore, unfortunately enough, and if you didn't know, I always translate everything with deep L. It is. I do actually haven't looked up if it's actually, deep learning or machine learning or something like that. But earmark. Yeah, this is actually a good one. You should always know what your expenses are, what your income is, and all these different things, which is, I think, the pretty easiest way of, managing your economic portfolio, maybe. Maybe something like portfolio. I don't know. I don't actually know. But let's see. Full summary. Financial security is illusory. Dave Ramsey says that most of us have a few financial worries, but overall feel rather secure. But that security is illusory. Would you still be financially secure if you lost her job? Probably that just one little thing would change everything, right? And which is actually one of the reasons why, a lot of rich people just really, tell you that no, I'm not a scam, man. So for the podcast listeners or the YouTube listeners, I'm streaming right now, and someone just asked me if I'm a scam. No, I'm not a scam. It's totally, I'm only going through a book summary here on the left, as you can see. So no worries. I'm just, I'm pretty much not talking about my own experiences. I'm just talking about a book summary. Yeah, because I do not have yet my own experiences with it. So with, a lot of money and, freedom and, one of the most hated expressions of mine is financial freedom. You just hear it all over the place, everywhere. Everyone is talking about it. It is total bullshit. Only because everybody is talking about it. And it's, such a word to let, to make it all sound a little bit better or something. Yes, he is. No, I don't know. But yeah. So would you still be financially secure if you lost your job? Probably that just one little thing would change everything, right? Which means you're a little step away from disaster. That's actually true, and it's some kind of funny that the most people on the world only have one income stream, which is, they just work and they get their money through their work, and they only work on one single thing. And this is actually one of the reasons why I really tended to go on Twitch as well, because if YouTube breaks down and everything is just fucked up, I do have another resource I can use, or just another source I can use, which I found, even though streaming might not be the best fitting thing for me, not the most liked thing of mine, but yeah. Change now. What's the solution then? It's to change right now. It's to put you on course to real financial security, which means for me that you should actually be, working on something besides your actual job, so that you will become or will have some pillars or, maybe 2 or 3. The actual average millionaire has about 6 income streams, which is fairly a high amount, because if you just, see, most of the people just have one income stream and millionaires have 6, and Tony Robbins even has 55, if I remember correctly, because he has actually 55 companies, and therefore I just assume that these all bring him some kind of money. So yeah, limit debt. Dave Ramsey says that debt has become such a part of our culture that it simply seems normal to be in debt. Yeah, that's probably right, because most people, if they can't buy them something, they just, go in debt, borrow some money from the bank, and they just, work with debt, which is, really funny. And I also see it, or, look at it like, it's normal and so on, but, it's not that good of a thing. The author is especially cautious or caustic or whatever towards credit card debt, which give us the illusion of wealth but only create future problems. Actually, on Friday in school we have watched a marketing movie, and there they were also talking about why paying with credit card, or in general with card, doesn't have to be a credit card. It could have been a debit card as well, or some other things, is always a little bit problematic, because you just do not have the real connection between the money and yourself, which means that if you just pay something with cash, you actually see what you are losing. No. So I just got a comment on the stream, which is, people are only rich because of luck. They were born in the right circumstances, got lucky, came up with an idea first, etc. That's totally not true, man. Or girl, whatever you are. Most of rich people just work pretty hard, and yes, they had an idea. But, you could have an idea as well. You can have an idea as well. But if you do not, do something with that idea, you just, fucked up. You just have to, put that idea in action and make something out of it. This is not it, because then the really hard work puts in, or, comes in. Just for my point, I'm still working on my social media things. This is my business, some kinda. And this is what I'm really, really willing to grow. And you really have to understand that with the internet and with this opportunity we have right now, this is your chance to really get into business and really start your own thing and monetize your passion. I assume that you really hate or really do not like to do things you actually, do not like. It's a dumb phrase, but the tendency to work hard is a value instilled in them by their father or environment. Yes, that might be true. Parenting and all these things are pretty important in terms of success and your characteristics and your yourself. But the thing is, I work hard as well. But working hard is just some kind of subjective term. But it is nothing that my parents gave to me. This is nothing my environment gave to me. I am, surrounded by people who aren't working that hard. The thing is, if I want to do, sorry, just kicked my fucking microphone. If you're willing to do something, man, you just can do it. If you want to work hard, you can work hard. There's nothing that, could, come between you and working hard. But if they were raised bad, they won't think long-term and chase immediate pleasure. Yeah, but the thing is, you can think on your own. You do not have to think the things your parents are thinking. Only because they really, injected into you, and, you have their patterns. That's pretty right, man. But you do not have to do this. You can think on your own. You have, you have the choices of yourself, and you can determine your future by yourself. This is what I think, at least. But thank you for your comment, man. Really thank you. Great comments. Always like them. Big stars in Hollywood and businesses that made it sold out to the choose control everything. It's a satanic Illuminati agenda. If you go to a Masonic ritual, you can get fame and success. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't also say that. Man, now I'm getting a little silly, man. Nevertheless, I'll go on with the book summary. By the way, I'm pretty interested in the Jewish religion, because I think, they it's kind of really sounds like a little anti-Semitic or whatever it is called, but I think there is actually something that, because of that, that they are, or a lot of them are just, so successful. Because, the thing is, you can't really deny it. Out of, I think it was 400, no, it was, yes, it was again, I think, and, do not take it for anything. Take it a little bit of a grain of salt. If you just see at the 100 most, what is it called? Most wealthy people in America, 40 of them are Jewish. The thing is, you can view it as, like you're anti-Semitic, and these are just 40, and this isn't even the half of it, and whatever. But the thing is, it might even be just me putting it into this perspective. But the thing is, I'm nevertheless pretty interested in it, because even if it's media or just books or just the whole history who put them, on some kind of pedestal, I'm interested in it nevertheless, and it just makes sense. If you might know a little bit of history, and if I get it wrong, please tell me in the comments if you're on the podcast or on the video, on the YouTube video, or just, hit me up on any social media link or platform there is. There should be all down in the description or somewhere else. What I initially wanted to say, they, unfortunately, they were always some kind of the black sheep, which is, I think, that really fucks with me, because they didn't do anything. Everybody just, said these are the bad ones and whatever, which doesn't make any sense. And, I really believe in kindness and, really just, trying to understand everyone. But this is not quite understandable for me. The thing is, they were some kind of punished to only work on some jobs which have to do with some kind of finances, and other things like I don't know. This is something I'm not that educated in. But the thing is, from that on, from the really early stages on, one of the only things they could have done is working with finances. And the thing is, if your religion, or it doesn't have to be a religion, if your all ancestors really had to work with money all the time, they gain knowledge. It's just what you do. If you work, or if your ancestors worked as woodworkers, for hundreds of years, and your parents as well, maybe even, you really get a lot of knowledge, because there's such a time span of knowledge put into you in terms of patterns or anything else. But to really make it clear, I do not care about any religion. I don't care if you are Jewish. I don't care if you are, I don't know what there is, Christian. I don't know if you're a Muslim, hopefully it is called in English like this. I do not care. I only care about your happiness. If you're happy, everything is right. And this is what I am about. And this is really something I, wanna say clearly, that there's nothing bad I wanna say, really not. But let's go ahead with, and this is actually something Gary Vee has really been emphasizing, that you should, not really be talking about religion and politicians and something like this a lot, because it makes sense that you shouldn't do it, because these are all topics that, make people angry. These make people some kind of, just only angry and defensive, and, most of the time they just have to justify themselves, which is really not my intent, really not. But the thing is, I do also want to be some kind of truth. Just want to tell the truth, and this was the truth. And I'm just thinking about it. In terms of the video on YouTube, if I should cut it out, but I will probably let it in because yeah, because there was nothing wrong about it. I'm always some kind of thinking like, yeah, if it's if it's right to say certain things and so on, and I'm really being a pretty cautious, or I keep attention to it, so that I do not really want to fuck with people. This is not my intent, but we will actually have to go on with this one. So the first one is the 1K starter emergency fund. Stop thinking of emergencies like rare events. There is a 78% chance we will all experience major negative life events. The first step then is to set aside $1,000 for emergency situation. The first 1K is for emergencies only, which is a pretty good strategy, because there, as he says, the author, or I do not actually know who is writing these articles, but this is actually a good thing that they actually talk about it, because these things can come up every time. I do not really hope it for you. I do not really hope it for anyone, but yeah. The second one is the debt snowball. List all your debt from smallest to biggest and start paying off the smaller ones. As you successfully erase debt, it will inspire you to tackle the bigger ones. Makes sense. The third one is grow your emergency fund. The first step is to cover your emergency fund to cover your life expenses for a period of at least 3 to 6 months. So the first step is to cover your emergency fund to cover your life expenses for a period of at least, okay, this makes sense, because if you might lose your job, or if something happens with your family, which again, I really do not hope for you, and I really hope that you're happy, that you are successful with what you're doing, that you are wealthy and everything else, but especially happy. I wish it for quite everyone, because if happy thing wouldn't be a thing, a lot more people would be just really depressed and whatever. I just hope that you're so happy, and that through happiness all other things come, at my point of view. If you're happy, you will work, and if you work, you will some kind of get healthy and wealthy, and your happiness makes you healthy as well, and so on. The fourth one is invest 15% of your income. The Total Money Makeover recommends that for a comfortable retirement, you need to invest 15% of your income on mutual funds. And then the author of this article says, or just noted something, many other wealth books don't recommend mutual funds for the high fees, and they are right. I recommend you to check out Money Master the Game, which is actually true, because as I remember correctly, and this is just a stage where I have to say that if I just talk about pretty bullshit, tell me, always tell me. So mutual funds are just funds with a lot of people, which means that a lot of people pay for something. I think it's actually stocks or something. I do not actually know, but the thing is, these come with pretty great fees. And so Money Master the Game, which is actually a book I've been talking about on the channel as well, so on the YouTube channel. This book really explains what you should be investing in and so on. Debt-free college. The Total Money Makeover recommends you send your children to school debt-free. You can do that in the following ways: with a scholarship, saving up with an education saving account which is tax-free, or just avoid college. And I really have to say that college isn't for everyone. And if you aren't really someone who wants to go to college, do not do it. Even though your parents, or maybe your friends, or your grandmother, grandfather is telling you, if you don't want to, do not do it. Because people quite only know like 10% of you. So, and you know yourself 100%. You know what you're thinking, you know what you're feeling, and so on. All other people can't and are not doing it. So do what's good for you and not what's good for someone else just to make them happy. At the end, it's just, you not being happy, which shouldn't be actually the thing. The author cites emotional intelligence to say that only 15% of success is because of training and education. And thus, he argues going into debt for college might not be worth it. 15% is quite not that much. And the thing is, most of all these successful people just had an idea. And, the thing is, they just, dropped out of college. For Zuckerberg, it was actually Harvard. And for Bill Gates, it was, I think, the same actually. But, you kind of need the discipline to just go through all this pain and whatever comes up and just work on it and, hardly work. And, it is, in my point of view, especially always important that you work on something that you actually like, because if you like it, you're probably good at it, and if you are good at it, you probably will be successful in it and might be even the best one on the market who is doing this certain thing. The sixth one is pay off biggest debt. The biggest debt is often the mortgage, and that's what you should aim to pay off as fast as possible. It starts from the moment you take the mortgage. Make it as short as possible. The author says that borrowing against your home to take advantage of lower interest rates is a terrible idea. The seventh one is have fun. And the Total Money Makeover doesn't want you to live with Scroogey McDuck, but to enjoy life as well. As long as you can spend without going into debt and can afford, do enjoy your disposal income. Yeah, I think most of the time people actually, spend too much money, and you can put it into another perspective, they just have too less income. This, would be the other side of the coin. But the thing is, just, don't live above your life standard. You just, can provide yourself by your work or by your job or whatever. And, just, it's the same thing with losing weight. A lot of people just get it so fucking wrong. It's, pretty easy in theory, and a lot of people just make it so fucking complicated. The thing is, the only thing you have to do to lose weight is to just, eat less or eat less calories, or which is important, move a little bit more. It's not that hard. But the hard part about it is, or the tough part about it is to actually execute it. This is actually hard and tough. I think, I haven't been going through it, but most people just, tell you about these diets, and you shouldn't be eating carbs, or you shouldn't be eating fats or whatever. The thing is, just do not eat as much calories as you are now doing, and do not eat as much calories as you probably should be eating, just about 500 less than your standard is or should be. Yeah. But in terms of living, yeah, it's actually true that you shouldn't really be eating like why I'm talking about eating. You shouldn't really be spending your money on something dumb. It doesn't make any sense to have 7 TVs in your home or 3 cars, even though you're only alone, and certain things like this if you can't really afford it. If you can afford it, I don't give a fuck what you're doing with your money. But if you can't, it might not be the best idea. And to maximize your disposable income, the author recommends you to take advice from the best CPAs, tax advisors, and lawyers, which is the same suggestion of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which was actually, to be honest, the first ever financial book I've been listening to. Back in the day, I was listening to while I had an internship at a company, and the internship was quite okay. It wasn't that great, but the book itself was also quite great. I always like it to have a story that is actually being told to you rather than just facts, that put up into your face and just, smashes into your face. It's always a little bit nicer to have an actual story, and especially when the story is some kind of, the life experience of the author itself, which makes it, some kind of autobiography. The real life applications. Write down all your expenses. This little trick can be a game changer for many to have a better overview and quickly reduce their expenses, which makes sense. If you know what your expenses are, you can actually, reduce them or something. Yeah. Can I actually? This is something. Can I actually? I can't really see it. There is even an option, in the chat options, so that the color can be read pretty easily. But yeah, which is great for me because I wasn't able to read it before. But it's kind of funny that you can actually be doing it. So yeah, but nevertheless, yeah. Yeah. Where did I stop? So yeah, write down all your expenses. This is a good one, actually a pretty good one. But yeah. What do you mean to splurge on? All your money disappears, then you just have to save it up a little bit, and do not buy something that you actually do not need. A lot of people just buy some shit, and just look at your expenses. Do not buy the most expensive coffee if you're in Starbucks. Do not buy the most expensive bread and so on. Just look a little bit on your money and on what you're spending it. I've always been a person who is not ever in my lifetime spending my money on some really stupid shit, but yeah, that's not true. I just I had my dumb expenses as well. Most of the time some sort of video games for me. For other people, video games are just their income, some sort of. Stick to your budgets. Set aside money in advance for your expenditure and stick to it to avoid accidental overspending, which is totally true. Cons: no debt agenda with silly paragons. The author says we should impinge on debt, and that's all true, but he says that most wealthy people stay away of debt and some of the best companies are completely debt-free. Well, most and some mean completely nothing. Some of the best companies take up debt too, and some wealthy individuals do use debt as leverage. The concept still makes sense, but I'm a logic Nazi, and these cognitive biases drive me crazy. In this case, it's an induction reasoning fallacy. Yeah. Basic, similar to The Richest Man in Babylon, The Science of Getting Rich, or The Millionaire Next Door, I find the advice a bit basic for people who have been reading on finance already. This is actually true, and this is what kind of disappointed me in this summary, that it wasn't quite that advanced, and this was nothing quite new for me. But for maybe some people need it, and therefore I make these videos. Mutual funds don't go for mutual funds, go for ETFs. I don't know what this is. Deeper approach. The Total Money Makeover stresses behavior and habits above knowledge, and I like its approach on making the changes instead of changing everything at once. For example, you should tackle things one by one to concentrate your efforts and stack up early wins. Converse all the basics. While I say that it is basic as a con, the Total Money Makeover is great for all those who aren't yet following the suggestions. Great mindset. The Total Money Makeover has a positive mindset that reminds me a bit of the ant and the grasshopper fable. Basically, it's about avoiding flashy expenses and tackling your future problems today so they can enjoy a better life later on, which is totally true. You now and today have the opportunity to really determine the life you have in the next 10 years, the next 15 years, 20 years, whatever. It really depends on the habits you really gain today, or the patterns you have today, or decisions you make today, how you're acting today. It's all about today. What was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, whatever, is, doesn't matter. What matters is today. Because, as I said, what you do today is what determines your life in, the long run. But yeah. Let's see if there is actually something else or another book I could be talking about. I'm only 35 minutes in, or 36 minutes in. But yeah. Let's see. The 4-hour work week. Yeah. I might be, yeah. What I'm going to do is answer a few Quora questions and see, what the latest questions were in the self-improvement section or self-development section, however you're gonna call it. And that is actually, pretty nice to see that Gary Vee is, additionally to all his businesses and whatever he's doing, has actually his Quora account. This is some sort of why I really came to the conclusion, or just, have seen that you can actually quite do it. You just see the platforms and the platforms, but you're actually not that aware of that. You could actually be doing something on that. But therefore, I'll follow him. Always good to have him everywhere you are. All these motivations and all these things. And I can really suggest you, to go through Gary V's, so Gary Vaynerchuk. I put a link to him into the into the chat, so that you can check him out. No, not really. Yeah. But Solly Loss, or